Conceive, believe, achieve.
This is former UFC middleweight champion of the world, Michael Bisping.
Paddy the Baddy here. You're listening to Combat Sports UK.
And you're watching.
Hello everyone and welcome to Combat Sports UK. Today I'm joined by the Butcher, Joe Fields. Joe, how are you doing, mate?
I'm good, mate. A little tired, but yeah, I'm all right. I'll have a little nap and I'll be back to 100%.
Back in the gym again. Talk to me, how's Sweden, mate? Because you're not coming to us from sunny Hull. You're over in Stockholm, right?
No, it's a lot nicer than Hull, I can't lie. Yeah, it's nice here, to be fair. I like it. It's my way of living. Everything's super healthy, organic. Weather's, it's chilly but nice, and then the training's second to none. So everything I need's out here.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place, mate. I went out with the missus a few years ago, and it was one of those trips where it was one that you didn't expect to be one of your favourite trips, but actually when we came back, it was somewhere we said we'd definitely go again, but it's expensive out there as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's expensive to, if you want to eat out, go drinking, things like that, it is expensive. But if you just kind of, I'm cooking for myself. I've got a nice little hob back there.
Yeah, it looks like a sweet little room, yeah.
Mate, it's lavish. It's about 6 foot by 6 foot. It's a good job I'm small. Does the job though. It's got everything I need.
What's the purpose behind the trip then, mate? What you out in Stockholm for? Is it just visiting different gyms, picking up some different training? What's the reason?
Yeah, just at home, it's like I'm kind of traveling all over to try and get the best training, and it would be nice to be able to get that all in one place. I do have a home in the UK, but obviously I'm from Hull. It's like I'm training a lot of my time up north. And for me to rent and live up there, it's kind of just as expensive as it would be to come out here. So with my sponsor money, I like to save up. Like I went to Thailand before, get different looks, but luckily this place isn't too far away. So it's a short, 2-hour flight. So it's easily accessible. And so many guys my weight. Looking at, well, I don't know when, but the pro moves on the horizon. So to be able to work with so many high level pros around my weight is a very valuable experience, and with some of the best coaches in the world too.
Is it a permanent switch then out there that you're potentially looking at, or is it more a case of camp by camp?
It wasn't planned like that. I've come out here just kind of to do a 6-week kind of training camp. But if an opportunity comes up, it's I've not. I do have a home, obviously my home's kind of Middlesbrough Fight Academy, but then it's I'm training everywhere, so it's I'm not really locked down to one place at the minute. And with this, it's with this sport, you don't get paid great until you're very high up. So if I can use this to get different places in the world, see different things, experience different things, then I might as well use that. And the training out here is class. Stockholm's a great city, so we'll see what happens.
Sounds good. So we've done the purpose behind your trip. You're talking MMA there, but you've just recently had a boxing match, haven't you, mate?
Yeah. I made my boxing debut about two weeks ago, a week before I came. It wasn't really planned, to be fair. I was on holiday. I was in Turkey, and I knew there was a date kind of in mind, but I didn't have an opponent for ages. Managed to get matched and just jumped in and had my first boxing match, got the win. It was a good experience. I'll definitely have more.
I was going to ask you if there was a specific reason behind going into a boxing fight, but you've just kind of touched on there that it wasn't planned, so nothing specific, but good experience nonetheless.
Yeah, it was planned. It was the original plan. With the original plan after my last fight was to focus more on my hands, get a step closer, be more comfortable in the pocket. So it kind of was planned in that way. Since my last fight, I've been almost exclusively boxing and wrestling. I've been doing jiu-jitsu too, but just ticking over with it. Same with MMA, but I've been just smashing the boxing because me and my long-term coach were speaking, and that was kind of the next development. The easiest way for me to grow as a fighter was to get better at the pure boxing and also the pure wrestling.
Yeah.
So we went in with it without a huge ambition to compete, but it grew. I enjoyed it, and I'd do it again because it's you can fight without cutting a load of weight. You don't take as much damage as MMA, and it's a real valuable experience.
Yeah, cool. You touched on your last fight there, the Conor Walsh fight. Talk to me about that and kind of what your experience is coming out of that. Obviously, on this occasion, the hand wasn't raised, but a very close fight. And I've got to say, mate, I mean, just 5 rounds, absolute chaos in there, wasn't it? So it just
Yeah,
a
it was
really,
a fun
really
one.
interesting fight, mate.
Yeah, it was a good one. In my opinion, when I watched it back with my coaches, we thought I did enough. Um, I guess if you're scoring it on damage, you did more damage towards the later rounds, so I can understand that too. But that's part of fighting in a different city where you're the away fighter and they've got the home crowd. It's like a lot of things that are not necessarily landing get
Mm-hmm.
cheered. In my opinion, that gets in the judges' heads. Don't get me wrong, he deserved to win. It was a great fight. It was a good performance by him. But all you can do as an amateur, it's not about the record. It's all about
No.
fighting the best and learning.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I did. It showed me some areas I need to work on. So that's all I need. I've worked on them since. And yeah, it
Yeah.
was a good experience. Like that fight and the Alan Barron fight, my
Mm-hmm.
two losses, they both like sparked something in me and changed. You know, it's when you're winning, it's easy to get ahead of yourself and you think, "Oh, I'm the man."
Yeah.
You need to get step back, like step back a little bit to
To
know
go
where you
for.
need to like push into.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was like you said, it was a very close fight, and it's almost frustrating, I suppose, sometimes when you look at the criteria for MMA scoring and you look at damage as being the main one, because there was a couple of those rounds there where the footwork was good, the movement was good, you were popping out the jab, and you see you were kind of predominantly winning the rounds, and then he'd sort of land a big shot, and there was
Yeah.
obviously the time where you went down there and it kind of just it gives it a completely different look, and everyone almost forgets the 3 minutes or so before. Do you know what I mean? It can be a bit chaotic in there, but I suppose like you said, it's just a
Yeah, for
learning
sure.
fight. I mean, just on that, talk to me about the amateur lifestyle, because you kind of touched on it then with the losses. Um, Obviously they are learning experiences, but like you said, there's kind of not as much pressure on at this stage. It's more a case of going out, getting that experience. But what's it? What's the feeling like when you're in a camp or a particular gym training, for example? Because obviously George just had the contender series, didn't he? And
Yeah.
sort of the difficulties there. So when it's like that, and maybe a couple of the guys out the gym have struggled to kind of get the hand raised, what's it like trying to get that momentum going again, or get that shift?
Um, like don't get me wrong, I'm an amateur, but me and the other amateurs at like MFA and the gyms I train at, we take it as seriously as the pros. So there is still that extra pressure, because it means so much. But like you said, it's all about experience. You need to be fighting the best guys. And if you're doing that, that's all that you can control. Obviously, George didn't get his hand raised in the contender series fight, but he's young. And
Mm-hmm.
if you don't test yourself against the best guys, you never see where you need to improve. Like it's easy to be
Yeah.
a shark in a pond, but you
Mm-hmm.
need to be fighting. If the end goal is UFC, world champion, then it's like can't lie to yourself and be fighting, padding your record, and you can't do that, especially as an amateur. It's like a lot of people do that nowadays. It's like you need to be fighting top guys. You look at my record, everyone I've fought is, you know,
Mm-hmm.
top tier, like some of the best guys in the country, and it'll catch up to you if you try and pad your record and don't necessarily fight the best guys.
I think
But yeah,
I think, like you said, that's kind of the big comparison from MMA to boxing for me, because I follow boxing as well, and you see a lot of padded records in boxing more than you do in MMA, and I think that is because of that.
yeah,
You're going around. There's different ways. Obviously, you can win a fight, but you see a lot of padded records in boxing, and then you see someone step up and take a fight against an opponent that they're completely outmatched by because they've kind of had favourable matchups along the way. So I suppose, like you said, it's perfect that you're getting in there and maybe experiencing losses, but learning from them, and kind of you're getting an understanding of where you're at, aren't you?
yeah. And it's not like it's different if you're completely out of your depth. But I lost a close split decision where I
Yeah.
didn't. Don't get like I went down in that last round, but it was like a flash kind of when you're fatigued. I didn't have a concussion or anything. I didn't take too much damage.
No.
I was all right after, and I could just work on what I saw in the fight. But yeah, same thing with boxing. It catches up to you, so you can't be lying to yourself, and you have to resist like the what you want now to get what you want in the future. Like
Yeah.
if you just try and get the wins now and rack up the finishes, it's like there's a time where you can't do that and you'll get exposed. So
Yeah.
I'd rather lose and be prepared for the future if that's the end goal, which is.
Yeah. What would you say has been the biggest thing you've learned so far in your career? What would you say the biggest lesson has been, whether it's something you've picked up from somebody else or something you've picked up during a fight?
I would say like managing emotions and not being so like emotional about like training and things. Like it's when you put in the hours in that I do and you feel like you're working harder than everyone else and if things don't go your way, you can't get like bogged down by it. You have to just like stay level headed and just do what you can and not it's like stocks. If you look at it in the short term, it's up, down, up, down, up, down, but in the long term, it's going up. So it's the same thing. In the past, I was focused on the short term, like ups and downs, and I needed to like that was something I needed to work on. But if you're looking at it in the grand scheme of things, as long as you're going up, you're going towards your goals. So I think that was the main thing that I needed to work on. Also skills as well, but that's given. But emotions are definitely a massive part of fighting and
Yeah.
training. It's such like so many highs and lows on this sport, and if you get so attached to winning and different things, then it just drains you. You can't be like that.
Yeah. I mean, we touched on just before you jumped on the call. You've not got a fight coming up, but when are you looking to get back in there? Obviously, you're out training in Sweden now. Is there a plan to jump into a fight at the end of that 6 weeks, for example, or are you what are you eyeing up next?
So before I came here, we was potentially planning a pro debut around December time, but I'm not too sure. Like coming out here, obviously training with the top guys, like I've realised there's no rush. Like I'm still learning. If I and the amateur fights out here are quite different. It's shin guards and there's same day weigh-ins. So it's like the amateur game in England is very similar to the pros, other than the fact that there's no elbows or knees, but you're still bare shin. You're still cutting a decent amount of weight. Like a lot of amateurs are cutting like a pro amount of weight.
Yeah.
So looking at it from like an England point of view, I was thinking, well, what's the difference? I'm taxing my body the same and I'm not getting paid. Like I might as well go pro. But then, if I do end up staying out here or doing my camps out here, it's like I could have maybe 5 more amateur fights because I could fight so regularly, not cutting weight, not taking the extra damage of being bare shin and all the extra like knocks that come with that. So I'm unsure right now. I'm just gonna keep chipping away, keep working, being a sponge, learning. I'm 22, just
Yeah.
turned, so I've got time. So I'm just gonna listen to the people around me. Like at the minute, I kind of like at home. I manage a lot of my career myself because a lot of my coaches are also fighters, so they have to be focused on their career 100%. Like everyone has to be focused on themselves in this game. But it would be nice to have someone who can almost tell me what to do and give me that extra guidance. That would be nice. So
Yeah.
I'm just going to be a sponge and see what happens.
Let you focus on learning and fighting, and let them pick up the rest.
Exactly.
Give you
Yeah.
one less headache.
Exactly.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, you talked
Yeah.
about the weight cutting then. I mean, obviously, we see it in the pro ranks where we see big guys cutting crazy amount of weight to get down to a much lower weight, and you don't see that as much with boxing, for example. Not to keep
No.
making the comparisons, but what do you think? Obviously, there's a clear advantage there, but why do you think there's like this trend amongst fighters as such to cut so much weight? Is it just because you feel like if you don't do that, then you're going to be outmatched and outsized, or is it more a case of maybe taking the power down to the weight class below? Just try and give me a bit of an insight into a fighter's mind of choosing which weight to actually compete in.
I think there's a couple of things. Like as in boxing, there's not the grappling side of it. Grappling weight comes into grappling a hell of a lot more than it does into striking. Don't get me wrong, people hit harder, but like explosiveness isn't all just weight, it's speed, precision, timing, everything. Like I boxed at I think it was 68 kilo, same day weigh-ins, and I'm normally fighting at 57. I've got a little bigger after my last fight, just fueling my body. But I didn't have an issue with the guy's power, and he was 68 kilo. Well, He's supposedly weighing at 68 kilo. To me, he looked about 70, 75 plus. He was. I got stitched up somehow. He was blooming massive, but
He was a big
like
guy.
it took. It was a massive guy, man. I was looking down, watching him like shadow box warm up. I was like, oh, that's not my opponent. He's about 80 kilo. And then he steps in the ring. I was like, for God's sake! But it doesn't make too much of a difference in boxing, and there's more weight classes. I
Yeah.
think in MMA, especially English MMA, it's the day before weigh-in, so it's like
Mhm.
where there's a in a sport that's so there's so much cost to it, there's so much risk. It's like you're gonna go the extra mile to try and get every single little advantage you can get. So I think the issue with amateur MMA is the fact that it's day before weigh-ins.
Mhm.
I think that's a bit stupid because
Yeah.
you have to basically fight like a pro.
Mhm.
As a professional, where there's money to be made and there's so much on the line, you've got to provide for your family. It's like people are going to cut the extra weight, but there's weight's not everything. Like you can go with bigger guys and you can be the stronger guy, the more powerful guy. I
Yeah.
think a lot of it is like a mental thing too.
Mhm. Yeah.
You
I
just
was
look
just.
at someone and you think, God, they're massive. Like, how am I going to compete? But
Yeah.
skill comes into it a lot
Mhm.
more than size. Like size only makes a difference when the skill is like basically even.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's fair. So we've talked about fights, weight cutting, things that have gone on in the past. We've talked about when you're wanting to get back in there next, hopefully. But outside of fighting, who's Joe Fields? What's the
Um,
what when you're not living it up in Stockholm? What's it like when you're back in Hull?
to be honest, I kind of do the same shit. It's like I'll be at the sauna. I'll be doing like hot cold massages. To be honest, I live a pretty boring life. I don't really. Well, to me, it's not boring. I just do the same shit every day. I eat loads of food. I go sauna. I do my cold therapy. Get my massages, and that's good for me. I don't watch TV. I don't really find too much else interesting. I see my mates and stuff on the weekend, but I kind of just live the life.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can only really like get to the top of this sport if you truly do enjoy like every aspect of it.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, other than that, I don't really do much. I see my mates. I'm quite like I'd say I'm introspective. Like I always like analyze myself and seeing what I need to like work on as a person, as well as just like the fighting side of it.
yeah.
Um, but I don't know. Some people would probably call me like a bit of a hippie.
Well, it's funny,
Even
mate.
though I don't really look like one.
It's funny because I'm older than you, and to me, what you've just said there sounds absolutely awesome. But I know back when I was at your age, at 22, there's obviously a lot more emphasis on going out boozing, having a good time, enjoying yourself, going and watching the football or the rugby over your end as well, whichever way, whatever you're into kind of thing. But what's it like for you then as being a young, switched on fighter that's just looking to progress? Obviously, you're saying you live the life and you focus, but are those kind of things not really an attraction to you anyway? Or is it more a case of you just that focus on the goal and where you want to be that you kind of put them to one side?
They are, but it's like for me, don't get me wrong, I'll occasionally go out and I'll have a drink with my mates if, say after a fight, but I have to earn it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I can't do it regularly because, like, not gonna lie, when I go out, if I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna go out
Go out,
because I
out.
don't do it a lot. I end up going a bit probably like too far, but also it's because I don't drink, so it's like
You forget
my
what it's
mates will
like.
get me a drink or whatever, and it's just like I'm a proper lightweight, man. I embarrass myself. So it's like I do those things, but it's only the odd occasion. But to me, I think that's a better way of doing it because it means when I do it, I enjoy it. It's not just like that cycle of like working the week, getting pissed at a weekend, repeat.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
I don't think I could survive doing that. To be
No.
honest, like my life's easier doing training hard. People think, oh, how do you do that? But it's like I think, how do you do that? How do you work a job you absolutely hate and then
Do you
go
think
on the
that's
booze on a weekend?
Do you think that's why fighters struggle when they retire? Because the schedule and the fixed setting of you do this at this time, you go to the gym on this stage, you sleep on this at this time. Do you think it's missing that as much as missing fighting? That they're kind of out in the world without really knowing what to do with themselves.
Yeah, and I think with fighting, it's so intense. It's like you have to put all your chips in this. You don't really have any other like passions that are independent of fighting. Like everything that I do crosses over with fighting. I still like I enjoy other things, but yeah, it's like everything I'm gonna do that's not fighting will probably benefit fighting, like sauna, cold, whatever recovery things. Um, but I think the main thing with why fighters struggle when they retire is the ego, not
Hmm.
being the guy, not being talked about. Um, but it doesn't really bother me too much. Like I just want to do what I can in this sport, and then once I'm out, I'm out. I'm not gonna hang around for it like way longer. Like, you know, you see fighters getting knocked out a couple of times and they're trying to get it
Hmm.
back and trying to get it back. It never works.
No,
When has that like ever gone well?
no. Well,
So yeah, my aim is to get to the top, retire on top, done. I've got many
hmm.
other passions. I like football. I love anything that's like physically challenging. Like I love being out in nature, camping and that. Like wild camping. So
Yeah,
there's plenty of things that I look forward to having the time to do after fighting.
yeah,
But
yeah,
got a long way to go yet.
yeah,
15
yeah.
years or so.
That's it, mate.
God.
Yeah. So
Okay, when
last,
you put it like that, 15 years. Whoa.
you think, oh, God, can I do it for another 15?
100%.
I mean,
100%.
last one, mate, and I'll kind of let you go on this. And thanks again for your time today.
Nice sound.
Talk to me about if you could pick one opponent from any age, any weight class, someone stylistically that in an ideal world, regardless of size, weights, anything else, you can pick somebody to be in the a hero or somebody that you just absolutely hated that's been a pro in the past. Who are you stepping into the cage with?
Oh, what? I've got to fight them all like someone that I've kind of like looked up to.
No, someone that you can give me both if you want, but the aim was for someone that you would fight against. But let's just say, for argument's sake, if you were the same size, it doesn't have to be someone from your weight class. If you want to
Right.
fight Francis Ngannou, then you crack on. I'm not gonna, but you can do
um,
it.
Probably scrap Brendan Shaw to be honest, because I reckon I can take him. But
There we go.
I had picking no killer to fight. Man. I ain't doing that.
That's the clip that we're going to
Nah,
pick out of this, by
I,
the way, mate.
I
We'll be tagging Brendan in it, saying, "Look at
Brendan
this."
Shaw. No, I don't know. I'd love to. Obviously, like Demetrius Johnson,
Yeah.
Henry Cejudo. I think them two are my weight class, and they've got the most credentials. So beating someone like that would be like unbelievable. But
Yeah.
different areas. But as for like looking up to fighters, like I think Mike Tyson, just the way he was so much shorter and just like used his attributes to his advantage.
Hmm.
GSP, obviously John Jones, but most should be there Chuck Liddell as well. Like Chuck Liddell was like the
Yeah.
first
I think
first
everyone
fighter
was
I
there.
was a fan of.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, these like my earliest memory of like watching MMA. So
Hmm.
probably Chuck.
Yeah.
I'll just avoid that right over at
Yeah.
all
That's it, mate.
costs.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I did
Yeah,
say last one, but I have got one more for you. If you could fight
go for it.
anywhere in the world, would you like to bring let's say we're years down the line now, you're fighting for the UFC gold. Let's just picture that. Where do you want to do it? Do you want to do it in Hull at the Bonus Arena? Do you want to go to Las Vegas? Where you going?
Um, It'd have to be somewhere in the UK because it's like I'd want as many people that have like helped me on my way and
Yeah.
supported me like through my amateur career to be there.
Hmm.
Um, Definitely wouldn't be Hull. Actually, no. To be fair, Hull won't be bad. Maybe maybe KC Stadium, but I don't think Dana's a fan of stadium fights, is he?
No,
And
no.
to be fair, in Hull, it's probably going to rain. Probably be
Yeah,
rained off.
yeah.
But yeah, why not? We'll do it in Hull so that everyone that it means a lot. Like people supporting you who are there every time when you're fighting. Not the
Hmm.
guys who are like, oh yeah, I'll beat the next one, and then
Never turn up.
never, never turn up. But
Yeah,
yeah, I'd do it somewhere close to home so that all the people that have followed me and supported me can make it.
good
But
answer.
if you want for that, maybe somewhere like some Nordic country in
Yeah,
like a mountain.
yeah.
Yeah, why not?
I think that's you said the Octagon FC, Octagon MMA stuff. Some of the scenes they put on some of
Yeah,
their arenas, they look pretty sick. Well, yeah, it's
yeah.
on that, mate. Thanks for jumping on and having a chat with us today. For those watching and listening, obviously, if you are watching it, it's going to be across the YouTube channel, and we're going to spread it across Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram as well, mate. So thanks for jumping on and joining us, and can't wait to see what's next for you. Enjoy Sweden.
Don't worry, mate. Appreciate it. You've saved me from my boredom for in my nice little box room.
Good man.
Safe,
All
mate.
right.
Thank you.
Cheers, Joe, to that.